here against Dan Benipayo, though I do want to confirm his last name. I don't want to get Dan's last name wrong, so we'll check on that with our table spotter. And then we'll be underway here as these two players play for top 8. Dan is telling our table spotter. And Benipayo it is. Thank you, Dan, very much. Rosum will take a look at those 6 cards. These players will be given the green light here in just a moment. And it's our last match of the Swiss. And then you'll be voting on the quarterfinals at home as we have a scalding Tarn here for Jonathan Rosum to get things started here. Now, when we got Sneak and Show on camera against Shaheen earlier, it was not pretty for Sneak and Show, man. Exact same matchup, too.
Yeah, and a lot of that had to do with how good the game got post-board for Shaheen. So, again, I think much the same story here where there's a lot of pressure on Benipayo to win the first game before Rosum gets access to his sideboard.
We're going to go back over to John as John's going to be brainstorming here. Going to draw 3 cards, of course, put 2 back. When he's done with that, we'll see what else he wants to do. Looks like it might be a pretty diverse top 8 here this weekend, though we could have 2 copies of Grixis Control. It is a very popular deck here this weekend in Baltimore, and it appears to be a very good deck in the format as we head back over to Dan. Dan could be one of our lone combo players here in the top 8. Sneak and Show a deck that is certainly not as good as it used to be, as we've seen many players do very well with it. Brad Nelson winning an invitational with that deck as his legacy weapon of choice in Indianapolis many years ago. And, of course, William Huey Jensen had a lot of success on the SCG Tour with Sneak and Show. An island here for Dan Benipayo. And now it might be time for a preordain or a brainstorm. And it's going to be a ponder. I guess the wrong cantrip. They're all in this deck.
Yeah, ponder first here if you're going to have a fetch land, so that way you can take the best out of the 3 if that's how your ponder breaks, and then sacrifice preordain, burn through the other 2, or, you know, keep depending on how things shake out. I like leading with the ponder here.
And the ponder is taken care of here. Rosum's going to sacrifice a fetch land.
So now Benipayo might want to take 1 draw step here and then break the polluted delta. Maybe he wants all 3.
We'll see.
From Rosum's side, a lot of those cantrips that he's playing with the intent of managing how many creature removal spells he draws over the course of the game. He wants threats and he wants counter spells. The removal spells are the worst part of his deck. He can't draw too much of it and be able to defend himself.
There'll be another brainstorm here for John in Jace's Spellbook edition, pardon me. 2 and 3 cards there for Rosum. He'll be putting 2 back, of course, see if he can find a fetch to go along with it to make it a pretty healthy brainstorm.
You can see him putting back, looks like Bolt and Fatal Push.
That's not the cards he wants here.
Now, does he have a way to shuffle?
But the answer is yes, sacrifice the Bloodstained Mire. So get the push and the Bolt out of here. Looking for some real action is what he's looking for. Some ways to defend himself and eventually close the game out. The thing about Grixis Control is that it doesn't put that fast of a clock on Sneak and Show. Doesn't put that fast of a clock on anyway, and anyone, as here's a ponder. But what it does do is it can find the things that it's looking for and make sure that you can't do anything relevant. That's how it pressures you. Ross, I'm going to keep with the ponder and pass the turn back. We'll go back over to Benipayo, who's going to sacrifice that polluted delta on his upkeep. So he was not interested in drawing another card from the pondering. And now Benipayo will shuffle, as will Rosum. Always good to shuffle your opponent's deck when they present it to you. And then we'll get a draw step here in just a moment for Dan.
And with Rosum not having access to blue mana untapped, it wouldn't surprise me if Benipayo wanted to go for a big play, even if he was light on protection, because you're not worried about any sort of counterspell. Just Force of Will, really.
That will be a preordained. Scry 2. Draw 1 in just a minute. Force of Will and Lotus Petal among those cards there for Dan. He'll split the difference. Wouldn't be surprised if he kept the Force. protect himself. Looks like that's what he did keep.
Let's see if he can shove something through.
It'll be a flooded strand, and not just yet. This will give Rosum more time to get things set up. Rosum will draw a card. You can see he does have another copy of Brainstorm in hand. So he will cast another Brainstorm. 3 cards coming here for John. 2 will be going back. Hinatorak in hand here for John, among many other options. So we'll see what he elects to do with that. Done resolving that Brainstorm now. Does have a Polluted Delta to fetch away if he'd like, and it looks like we're going to see the him. See if this resolves. Be a good time for something like a Spell Pierce. It's going to be a Flusterstorm, actually. That'll take care of it all the same.
Yeah, no way to fight over this. You get the Storm copies, and even if Rosum had a Force, there's really no way to fight over it.
Yep. There's a Badlands for John. Perhaps it would be time for a Thoughtseize. It's actually going to be time for a Gurmag Angler. So once you get a clock onto the battlefield.
With the amount of cantripping that Benipayo has done, and I would be really surprised if he didn't go for some big play this coming turn. And now that he's actually under, it's a combination now. He's under some pressure, and Rosum's tapped out. So this is a great window to try to land something big.
Well, it could be time for a Sneak Attack. And there is Sneak Attack. Force of Will, exiling Baleful Strix is where Rosum will begin, and that's actually going to work just fine. A little surprise there.
Looks like Benipayo's hand is, I think, maybe another Sneak Attack and an Emrakul, and Force, but no blue card.
That's what it looks like to me, too. Here's Snapcaster Mage. Perhaps going to go for the him and really shred his hand now. Looks like that's going to resolve.
But it's still possible for Benipayo to combo out here next turn if he's able to keep the Sneak Attack and one of the large creatures. We'll find out.
Quite a few cards here for Dan. That one's going to bite the dust. And we'll try again. There we go. Force, Mountain.
I think Benipayo's got it.
Okay. It depends on what's in Rosum's hand, I suppose.
Yeah, assuming there's no Force.
Yeah. Benipayo going to take 2 and try again. There's Sneak Attack. That'll resolve. Sacrifice that. The Hinatorak did not hit what Rosum was hoping it would. And this will be an Emrakul that is going to bring John down to 1 and no permanents. There go all the permanents. Well, you play on. You never know what could happen.
I think Benipayo has Gristlebrand left over, so
well, then we do know what can happen.
We'll be mopping up next turn.
And I have player loses with no permanents on the battlefield.
Yes.
Ding! Ding, 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 ding!
Thank you, Emrakul.
Thank you, Emrakul.
Exactly 6 permanents.
That's correct.
Mwah.
Not a bingo, but we're getting real close now.
And that's kind of a perfect summary of, I think Game 1, Grixis Control is just a little bit short on having enough interaction to make this matchup good.
Yep.
And you've got to pick up that game if you're playing Sneak and Show because the post-board games get a lot more challenging.
I totally agree with you, partner. As that's why Dan is up a game right now. He's got to be feeling pretty good. He also gets to be on the play for game number 3, too.
Yep.
In case they get to that point, which is obviously a powerful thing and a great feeling. As Dan Benipayo is going to win game number 1 here over Jonathan Rosum. Sneak and Show up a game over Grixis Control. We're going to start with Rosum in his sideboard of 3 Surgical Extractions, 2 Flusterstorms, 2 Power Blast, 2 Blood Moon, 6 1-ofs in Red Elemental Blast, Pithing Needle, Marsh Casualties, Liliana the Last Hope, Toxic Deluge, and the truest of nemesis.
The Pithing Needle, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, and Flusterstorms are all really good. If he's got a lot of dead weight to cut with the removal spells, which he very reasonably does, you could get the Surgical Extractions in there as well, I think.
Other side of things here for Dan. You got 4 Leyline Sanctities. You got to imagine some number of those are going to come in to stave off those discard spells. 2 Abrade, 2 Pyroclasm, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Beseiju, Who Shelters All, Grim Lavamancer, a Surgical Extraction, and a Blood Moon.
So he doesn't need Omniscience in this matchup, so you've got 3 free cuts, basically. I see that a mixture of Boseiju and maybe the Leyline of Sanctities being the cards to bring in.
Fair enough. Those are the options.
I don't like bringing in Leyline of Sanctity against people who have discard spells and counter spells, because I think you just dilute your deck, and if you have a Leyline while they're beating you with counter spells like we saw before, it's just so bad. But with Benipayo having the 3 flex slots with Omniscience not being necessary here, you can bring in 3 Leyline of Sanctities kind of for free, and the 2 Boseijus can be swapped out for 2 of your lands, whatever the case may be.
Season 2 schedule here on the SCG Tour. We're pretty deep into it now. We're almost into October here, folks. We started this thing off at the end of June, beginning of July in Atlanta. We went to Worcester. We went to Philly. We went to Indy. Went to Dallas. Went to Baltimore just a month ago. Went to Syracuse last week. We're back here in Baltimore this week. And now we move to Columbus in just a couple of weeks for Guilds of Ravnica release weekend, and then whammy in Philadelphia.
Unfortunate.
It's sad.
Apologies, Philly. Couldn't do it. Site got flooded out. But for the remainder of the year after Columbus, we have Modern Opens back-to-back weekends in Dallas and Charlotte, and then the Regional Championships November 10th. That's Modern. And you can head over to go.starcgames.com/regionals for more information about the event. Then we round out the year with teams in Las Vegas, Modern back here in Baltimore, and then the Season 2 Invitational in Roanoke, December 7th through 9th, with Modern and Standard as the invitational formats.
We got playmats aplenty, of course. For all of our Standard Open and Classic players, it'll be Siege Gang Commander from Dominaria. For our Modern Open and Classic players, it'll be Llanowar Elves from Dominaria. And then for our Legacy Open and Classic players, it'll be Wizards Lightning. Free exclusive playmats available with entry into any 2018 Season 2 Open, Classic, or Infinite Challenge package. Go to starcitygames.com/schedule for more information. Come join us during Season 2 here of the SCG Tour as we get ready here for game number 2 between Dan Benipayo and Jonathan Rosum. Benipayo wins game number 1 with Sneak and Show, so Rosum will be on the play here for game number 2. And for John, we watched him last round. We learned more about him again here this round. Young and good is the member of Team Lotus Box, a 20-year-old from Spencer, Massachusetts, looking for top 8, number 10. Gonna have to win the next 2 games to get there, though, John. I know we'll be seeing him in Columbus in just a couple weeks at that Guilds of Ravnica release weekend, and most of our other dates as well, as he chases that Season 2 points championship here on the SCG Tour with the control decks that he loves to play. Grixis control very much in his range. Not for me so much, but this deck is very good.
I wonder how much of the uptick in Grixis control has to do with GP Reed Duke. Just imagining yourself telling the story of your own tournament playing Grixis control.
I think it has a lot to do with that. I think it has a lot to do with it being a very, very good deck.
It is good, definitely.
I think it's just a combination of a lot of things that line up to make this deck quite good.
I think it's kind of medium against spell-based combo, but we're light on that in the metagame right now.
Yes, we are. I don't know. I actually don't think it's that bad against spell-based combo. Like, if you're talking Storm, a deck that's got Thoughtseize and Hymn to Torak, I think you're doing okay.
Yeah, I think you're still a little light on being able to close the game out fast enough.
That I do agree with.
Rosum looks like he's giving this one a long look.
All right, let's do it. Inquisition of Kozilek. Couple options here in Flusterstorm and Ponder. You see the rest of the hand there. A couple of lands in Scalding Tarn, Flooded Strand, and Volcanic Island, along with a Sneak Attack and a Force of Will.
Now keep in mind that only the 2 cards there on the right you can select with the Inquisition here. The other 2, too expensive.
Let's go back over to Dan.
Very common Sneak and Show opening hand there, and not close to a mulligan in my mind of you've got a piece, you're missing a piece, you've got a cantrip, you've got a counter spell, and you just got to kind of hope to draw out.
Especially when the game's going to last pretty long.
Yeah.
Like it will in this matchup. You're given enough time to draw out. You'll probably find some more cantrips, all that good stuff. What's the rush? Plus, I'd be hesitant to mulligan aggressively against a deck that has him the Torok.
And discard spells, Kolaghan's Command, whatever the case may be.
Just wouldn't want to mulligan against that kind of deck. Benipayo going to search up a volcanic island there with a flooded strand. And now to be preordained. Looks like top. Let's go back over to Rosum. Rosum does have a copy of Diabolic Edict in hand. Always a good card against Sneak and Show. John just trying to figure out the best way to move forward here as Benipayo continues to set up shop on his own turn. Ross will sacrifice that Scalding Turn, get a basic island here. Able to make himself a little bit Blood Moon proof if he's scared of such a card.
Yeah, Sneak and Show commonly has that post board. The way that Benipayo is fetched here would lead me to believe he doesn't have it, but if Rosum can afford to do it without disrupting his own development, better safe than sorry.
Snapcaster. And Inquisition. Brainstorm will be a response. It's time to hide some stuff away. Rosum will have no response. So Benipayo will draw 3 cards, put 2 back. Show and Tell among those cards. Emrakul in there too, so it looks like Benipayo has found some good things to do here. More importantly, he's found some cards to hide away.
Against Grixis, you'd rather do it with the sneak attack rather than the show and tell route. Passing back to them is problematic. They have cards like Diabolic Edict, Jace the Mind Sculptor sometimes, and they don't get enchantments off the battlefield very easily. So if you're able to land sneak attack, you can kind of win at your leisure. So it'll be interesting to see now with Benipayo shuffling around a show and tell, does he try to go that route next turn, or does he try to play it safe and just win the game through sneak attack?
Dan a little unsure of himself what 2 cards he wants to put back and what hand he wants to reveal over here to John.
A line that I like some amount of the time against Grixis control is just show and tell, put in sneak attack.
Oh,
once
yeah,
it's on the battlefield.
That's where you want it.
Right. It's not that hard.
Well, looks like Flusterstorm's going to bite the dust. You see the hand here, Force Will, sneak attack. Boseiju, Emrakul, and a Scalding Tarn.
And now, you know, we might be at that point where it's Benipayo can get the sneak attack onto the battlefield and then dare Rosum to be able to remove it.
What's interesting to me here is, again, I don't think Dan needs to move that quick. I like this. I like playing Boseiju, setting up the show and tell to be uncounterable.
Yeah, that's the other route. And now if he has the show and tell, then he's got a blue card now to pair with the Force of Will.
There's a Ponder. Rosum will take a look at the top couple of cards. Going to consult his hand a little bit here. His hand's not great right now. He's got stuff like Jace the Mind Sculptor in hand, which at this stage is not ideal.
And if Benipayo is able to land the sneak attack, then Rosum has to commit 2 mana up for the rest of the game to be able to cast Diabolic Edict. And that makes it very hard to get Jace onto the battlefield.
Yeah, I think if I'm Benipayo, my plan here, because he did hide away a show and tell. My plan is to show and tell in that sneak attack through the Boseiju.
And just the one hitter.
Don't need the Forcible anymore. It's not about that. And, you know, then I can just one hit you. Something like that. Again, because Rosum's not putting any pressure on, Grixis Control really doesn't do that, and Benipayo's done a nice job of finding his sideboard cards this game, most notably Boseiju.
Yeah, the hand might get forced here because one of the 3 cards that Rosum is spinning around in that ponder is a Pithing Needle. That, if his plan is just to win through sneak attack, then that requires the force of will.
Okay. We're going to go back over to Dan now. He'll draw.
And that might be the trap here. Rosum might want to, since he kind of has the information of what Benipayo is up to, maybe the hope is that the show and tell will be cast and he can put in the needle, knowing that Benipayo is going to put in sneak attack and then you've got him covered. And if he puts in something like Emrakul, you have your Diabolic
Edict.
Yeah.
So this could be interesting because it could be the plan here of Rosum's trying to trap the opponent.
Yeah.
Show and tell is symmetrical after all.
Yeah.
So you can use it to your advantage because there's a basic island for Dan. Boseiju, who shelters all, a Kamigawa block card.
Star.
Yeah. That's a bit of a stretch, but
and there's about many lands that enter the battlefield tapped, and you can tap them for colorless and deal 3 to yourself to do a small thing.
Yes.
There were a surprising number of all the Bandit Lord.
Oh, yeah. What a beating that one is. Here is show and tell. Does Rosum have the needle in hand? Rosum, you cannot put in a Planeswalker. That was before that was a thing. I am surprised. I thought John at least had a land in his hand. Huh. There's Emrakul. Diabolic Edict. That'll take care of that. No attack. Graveyard will get shuffled in. So maybe John didn't have one. Anything else to put in, but so it goes. He's solved that problem. Funny after all these years how good Diabolic Edict is. There's Needle.
Yep, still fills a role, still does the same stuff that it was doing 20 years ago.
You would have thought by now that they would have printed a better Diabolic Edict or something, and they just haven't.
Yeah, I mean, there's the block constructed format where Chainer's Edict was a card, and that was sort of a different animal because you had so much mana to work with in that format that the flashback made it better contextually, but Legacy puts a premium on instant speed.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That Pithing Needle predictably named Sneak Attack, and now for Jonathan Rosum, he is doing just fine. Pass that turn back, will Dan. Now we go back over to John. John's going to sacrifice a fetch line here on his upkeep. So Benipayo had a nice setup with Boseiju. Wasn't rushing too much, but when you're not rushing, you're giving a deck like Grixis Control a little bit of time to get established, to find what they're looking for. Rosum was able to find a Pithing Needle. He now has a Jace in his hand. Snapcaster Mage with Inquisition gave him enough information. And now he's just trying to hang on to this one. Because Rosum will draw. Him to Torak. Here's an attack for 2. That's the easy part. Will Rosum go towards Jace, or will he go towards him? He'll go towards Jace. And that'll get the thumbs up there from Dan Benipayo. The Mind Sculptor has now resolved. And how will Rosum elect to use the Planeswalker? What are you thinking here, partner? Fate Seal or Brainstorm?
I think that I prefer Fate Sealing this turn and then Brainstorming the following turns.
Just want to make sure nothing too bad happens.
You're only drawing to Force of Will this turn in terms of something that can protect you. Whereas the Fate Seal is some disruption this turn. The next turn, when you're then also drawing to discard spells and other things, with all of your mana available, then I'm more interested in drawing some cards.
Let's see what we have here. Ooh. In a Braid is going to kill that Needle. Now Dan Benipayo just needs a way to get it done. Don't think he drew it. Pass the turn back. He had that small window. Sneak Attack is still on, for what it's worth. And now if you're John, you almost certainly have to Fate Seal.
Yeah, your counter spells are no good, and your discard spells are so good because the thing you're trying to avoid is the top of the deck.
Yeah. Rosum will draw for the turn. Hadn't done that yet. Ponder in hand among many other options. I think John's got a decent idea of what's going on in Benipayo's hand right now. And he's still got an active chase that he hasn't used just yet. So it looks like he might go towards him to Torok. That's not a bad place to start. With 3 cards in Dan's hand, he'll get to keep one of them. And they'll roll to see which one he keeps. So that'll stay. The others are going to go. It's going to be a Spell Pierce and a Sneak Attack that go to the graveyard. Just 1 card left in hand now for Benipayo. Follow up. Ponder. Rosum looks like happy enough with those cards. No, he's not sure just yet. And one more time. Ponder difficult. Always a difficult card.
Yeah. A lot of options, permutations, modes and such.
A lot of ins, outs, what have yous, as it were.
I think Benipayo is... Oh, yep. We're resolving the Fate Seal now.
It's a good place to be. Leave it on top. Get in here for 2. Follow up with another one. Maybe a little bit of weird sequencing here from John. Maybe should Fate Seal first before pondering so he knows what he needs? Not sure.
He did Fate Seal.
Well, he pondered first, then Fate Sealed, then pondered again.
Oh, sure.
So well, maybe the first ponder, maybe before the first ponder, he should Fate Seal so he knows what he's looking for.
It depends if he has a range that may make him want to brainstorm or unsummon his own Snapcaster instead.
Okay. That's a good point.
I don't know what the order of the operations he's going for is.
Well, that's a really good point with the unsnapping or unsummoning Snapcaster Mage. Yeah. Maybe to him or something like that. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. That's a play we saw John make last round, too. Rosum trying to cross the finish line while controlling the opponent's draw step here. He'll Fate Seal again. Take a look. I'll leave it on top, F2.
I think it's really simple. Anything that's a dead card or something that Rosum can counter, leave on top, and anything else, put to the bottom.
Most cantrips, Rosum will be able to counter, like this one. Fighting back.
I love forcing back here.
Yep.
Your counter spell isn't really worth a whole lot.
Flusterstorm. Gonna go after Brainstorm a bunch. I'll take care of that. Pass that turn back. Rosum on tap draw. Fate Seal again. You have to believe. And again, as long as there's not some giant monster staring back at him, should be good. Leave that one on top. Put you down to 1. Dan, draw a card and concede the game, won't you? There we go. Jonathan Rosum going to win game number 2 here over Dan Benipayo. Grixis Control. Sneak and Show. Getting ready for a 3rd and final one. Winner of this one, making the top 8.
2 really good games so far.
I totally agree with you.
It's good sweats all around.
But if you're Dan Benipayo, you did what you were supposed to do thus far. You won game 1. That's where you want it to be. The other, you get to play first.
Yeah.
So we're going to see exactly what happens here. Good match so far. Again, we've got David Long into the top 8 with Golgari Depths, and we've got Shaheen Sarani into the top 8 with Grixis Control. The Brainstorm Master, another Legacy top 8 for Shaheen. Exciting stuff there, no question. We've also got SCG Game Night. Talk about that another time here this weekend. Got some cool stuff going on with that program. That program's about 3 or 4 years old now. I remember when we first debuted this bad boy. It was popular then. It continues to be popular now. We've even got some cool stuff to talk about here.
Well, you can head over to go.starcitygames.com/game night to find out more information. Every month, Star City Games produces new pins and tokens we send to the stores that are signed up. And then the stores have the freedom to run game night however they want to, any day of the week or format they want, just to get their players in the store on a regular basis to play some fun and friendly Magic. We have the September kit in front of you right now, Garden Tendencies. October and November coming down the pipeline as well with Heads of the Class. And in November, Rise from the Ashes. Again, that's over at go.starcitygames.com/game night. Find the game night closest to you in stores if you want to get signed up. Contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
We prepare for game number 3 here between Dan Benipayo and Jonathan Rosum. Sneak and Show versus Grixis Control. Winner of this match making the elimination rounds later tonight. And if you want to help us decide the quarterfinals, you can certainly do that. If you're a member of that feature match area at twitch.tv/SCG Tour, you'll decide the quarterfinals. Custom emoticons and badges for you to have some fun with. And it's only $4.99 a month, or you can use that Amazon Prime subscription program as well. Twitch.tv/SCG Tour. Thank you, everybody, for watching us all year long. Got a lot of great coverage to bring you the rest of the year, up to and including that Cube Championship at SCGCon a little bit later this year. That's going to be a total blast. 360 cards designed by Commander vs. Own Justin Parnell. Every single card will get used, and one lucky player is going to get to play with a Black Lotus.
For realsies.
For real, for real.
With money on the line.
For real, for real, for real. So put that cube mouth where your money is. I want to see some real good cubers out here qualify for this tournament. Show me what you're working with.
You were hustling a little cube last
Easy
night.
3-0 yesterday. Are you kidding?
4-0 because you finished off the other deck that you had.
That's true. That's true. That is true. Used to play in a cube league in Seattle. Got a lot of cubing experience underneath my belt. So very passionate about cube.
I didn't know Cube League was a thing.
We did a cube league for like 3 years. Something we just played like every week.
Same cube, or did it get iterated on?
We had a bunch of different cubes.
Okay.
Yeah. We had like home and away teams and
Gotcha.
like 7 or 8 teams in the league, so 24 players and stuff. It was fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was like 3-on-3 teams.
Yes.
Cube. Oh,
yes.
that's
oh yeah.
It.
Oh yeah.
Were there stakes?
Yes.
It's nice.
Yes. I don't play for nothing. I won't waste my time playing for nothing. Plus, there's a lot of bragging to be done, of which you can tell by the sound of my voice. Won quite a bit. I lost the finals twice.
Heartbreak.
My team and I, yeah.
To whom?
Brian Wong
Okay.
and whoever his teammates were, because like Brian Wong is just very difficult to beat in cube.
Sure.
Very, very difficult. Well, fun times. Fun times for sure. Brian Wong of Limited Resources fame. He still, to this day, has my favorite, you know the little blurb that you can put on Twitter about yourself? Yes. Brian Wong's is, once touted as the best Magic player you've never heard of, a claim that makes less and less sense the more you think about it. Which is just true.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something of a...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Once you start thinking about it, it does make less and less sense.
That's right.
That's right.
Looks like Dan might be throwing it back.
Going to 5.
That's tough. Not a great time to do so. But still in the play, and this is a deck that doesn't need a lot of cards to win. We do know that. Still got a lot of Magic up to be played here this weekend. Still got to crown a champion. Still got to qualify some more players for the Season 2 Invitational weekend. Good weekend here in the Baltimore Convention Center. One of our favorite stops here on the SCG Tour.
And a fixture of Season 2. 3 separate stops.
Yeah. Top card going to stay on top. Misty Rainforest. Benipayo going to get a Volcanic Island to start things off.
Got a couple updates here. Brian Durkin playing Mono Blue Painter.
Ya boy.
And Matthew Vuk playing 4-color Loam. Both have locked up spots in the top 8.
Very nice. We watched Vuk lose his first round today. Guess he didn't lose since.
No. Yeah.
Impressive stuff. For you 4-color Loam fans out there, looks like into the top 8. Here's an Inquisition of Kozilek. Let's take a look. The whiff.
Too big.
Omniscience, Beseiju, City of Traders. Can't touch those. Rosum's got the information now.
Show and tell, a big draw here. From there, Benipayo would be just a lot of turns with Omniscience on the battlefield.
I think we're heading back Dan's way in just a moment. John's thinking about something. Not quite sure what. I assume he has something like a surgical extraction hand at this stage. There's the Beseiju, past the turn back. Rosum will draw. Yeah, he's got a surgical in hand. That's the only reason he would think like that.
Yeah.
There's maybe surgical, either a fetch or a preordain. There's Brainstorm. One's a Baleful Strix. 2 is a Ponder. 3, I didn't get a great look at, but may have been a Flusterstorm. Well, Rosum will have to put 2 cards back here in just a moment.
Omniscience is a little bit of bad news for Rosum because it's an enchantment which you can't remove from the battlefield, and it can't be interacted with via Pithing Needle. And now with the Beseiju, if Benipayo has Show and Tell, it's just on the table.
But it's just an island and a passing of the turn. So we'll head back over to Rosum. There's Ponder. Quick shuffle.
And Rosum missing another land drop. And I believe the draw step here from Benipayo was Show and Tell. And if that's the case, he might stick Omniscience and say, I've got a million turns to draw anything.
Yep, I've got a lot of draw steps. But not just yet. So we head back over to Rosum, who just picked up a Bloodstained Mire. How about another Brainstorm? How about OK? Ponder. Delta. Red Blast. Actually, it's a Pyroblast, pardon me. Pyroblast stinks right now. I guess it's not horrible. I take that back. It can't counter Show and Tell. It can counter the cantrip, so I take it back.
And get Omniscience off the battlefield with it.
Also that. Good call, partner. Bloodstained Mire pass. Let's go back over to Benipayo. Michael Plummer's picked up a W here this round with his Grixis Reanimator deck. We saw him a little bit earlier in the day, losing to David Long. So it looks like he might be into the top 8 as well.
5th seed coming in the round and picked up a win.
That's a definite.
Yeah.
City of Traders is going to come down now. 4 mana. Show and tell. Well, go big or go home. Here we go.
Colorless floating.
Rosum knows he's in some trouble now. Looks like he's choosing to put Polluted Delta onto the battlefield. There's the Omniscience, not the sneak attack. And just going to pass the turn back. Okay. This is an attempt at a Pyroblast. Flusterstorm.
Yeah, I am not a huge fan of the end of turn Pyroblast here from Rosum. I would have much preferred Rosum to untap and then cast the Pyroblast.
Just because of Flusterstorm?
Because of Flusterstorm, yeah.
Sure.
Just too much stuff happened on this turn.
Rosum's got a question. He's gone. There was a decent amount that did happen this turn.
Well, we have a Show and Tell and a Pyroblast and a Flusterstorm, so we're looking at least 3. So Rosum cannot. He can pay twice, and if he has a counter back.
Yep. You see our head judge there, Steven Zwanger. He's hanging out, making sure everything's okay.
Unless Rosum really had something important to do with the mana the following turn, I think you just untap and cast Pyroblast.
Oh, John's back. Looks like Pyroblast is going to get countered here. Now, it appears as though Benipayo doesn't have much to do with this Omniscience. This is an end-of-turn Pyroblast, so he just wants to get it on the battlefield.
Right. Once it's on the battlefield, then as long as it stays there, then, you know, in theory, any Gristlebrand you draw, Emrakul you draw, is a major advantage.
Yep. So Rosum's going to count the Storm copies here. Show and Tell was the first spell, Pyroblast the second spell, and the Flusterstorm is the third spell, so there's a Storm count here. Curious what John plans to do. This must be a Flusterstorm back then. For me, that's really the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, you can go. I suppose what you can do here is pay for one of the Flusterstorms and Flusterstorm the other 2 Flusterstorms for 2.
Okay. This card's not that complicated.
Yeah. If you're getting into a counter war with this card, it's good to go second.
Yes, that's true. So a little Flusterstorm war here. See, Rosum's got a Flusterstorm with a Storm count of 3, so he's got 4 copies, whereas Benipayo has 3. And John, all this is an attempt to force through the Pyroblast to kill the Omniscience. It's going to work.
It's complicated, but basically there's no way for Benipayo to circumvent the Flusterstorm.
Correct. So now Rosum will untap. He's made it through what could have been a disaster. He will now draw a card for the turn. Is it time to go to maybe to Jace the Mind Sculptor, like we saw him do in game number 2? Who knows? But he'll start by cracking a fetch land. Our clock will show you under 6 minutes and 30 seconds, as there's an Underground Sea. Should be enough time for this game to finish, and very important for these players that it does, as a draw here is horrible. And if he's tapping 4 mana, we know what this is. You betcha. Fate Seal. Rosum said you can have that one. I ain't scared of whatever that is. Benipayo will draw. A little bit of a smile there because, yep, that card you left me with stinks. There's an Abrade, an Ancient Tomb, and a land. We'll head back over to Rosum, who's starting to take control with Jace the Mind Sculptor. Fate Seal up to 7. Partner, I think that you win bingo with what again?
Chase the Mind Sculptor Ultimates.
Okay. This will be a ponder. That'll be a drawn card there after keeping with the ponder for Rosum. Looks like he may have found a surgical extraction. The follow-up here is a Baleful Strix. This will allow Rosum to draw a card. That's a Swamp. And in the draw step, we'll have a surgical extraction, likely going after Show and Tell.
Yeah, get out the thing that's effectively uncounterable here.
I wonder what this is. Maybe Force of Will?
Hardcast Force, I'm guessing.
Okay. That was the draw. Gonna go after the surgical. Okay. And Rosum says, I'm gonna Snapcaster Mage surgical here. John really starting to flex his muscles now in combination with some of his great blue cards. Snapcaster Mage is starting to do some work on this game. Jace the Mind Sculptor really starting to take over here. And now it looks like Rosum's starting to attack the deck, not so much Benipayo's life total. There go all the show and tells.
Want to double check there, make sure you got all 4.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. No doubt about it. Let Benipayo shuffle that deck there. And then we'll head back Rosum's way. And I think what you said at the beginning of the match is pretty true there, where it's really important for Sneak and Show to win game 1.
Yeah, post board. There's so
sideboard
many
games,
bolts
boy.
and fatal pushes. Just the gap between how bad are the cards that are being cut and how good are the cards that are being brought in are so vast.
Yeah, it's really true. It's tough. Here's Ponder. Draw a card. Up to 9 for the Fate Seal. Rosum says you can have those. I'm going to attack you for 3 there, Dan. Enjoy this draw step. Didn't get a great look. Well, I have to imagine this is getting countered, whatever it is.
Yeah, if it can be countered, it gets left on top.
Yep, Pyroblast will take care of that Brainstorm. Fate Seal again. Says you can keep it, puts you down to 7. We got an Abrade here. Yep, that's going to go after Snapcaster Mage. Let's go back over to Dan. He'll draw. Not a lot doing here. We'll take a look, and that's going to do it. Don't even need to take a look at Jace the Mind Sculptor. Jonathan Rosum going to win this game and match you over Dan Benipayo. Grixis Control going to take care of Sneak and Show, and for